Alright, let's look at how you can share files, folders, etc. And we got to be really careful about this. So this video, I'm going to try to take it a little bit slower just to make sure we got it. Okay, here we go. So let's say I go into here, DMAT classes, got all sorts of stuff. And here's a test proctoring form. And let's say I want to share that with some other people. So I could click on that item, right? I got it selected, and I could go up here to share. There it is. And so share. Now, this is where sharing, you have to be very, very careful. Okay? So, first of all, there's a setting here. Anyone with the link can view and edit. So if I leave that as it is, and I send this out to some people, that means they can open this file and edit it and change it. So, if I don't want them to be able to change it, you need to make sure that you unclick Allow Editing. Okay, so that's one big important thing. Now you can actually, this is a great thing. I'm going to make a whole video on this later about how you can use OneDrive to do some collaborative work. Okay, but let's say I don't want them to edit. So if they want, they can save this file on their own machine and then edit it. But with this click, that means it's editing and it's changing it and saving those changes right in my OneDrive folder, and that's not good. Now, another thing to note, okay, again, let's go back. I went to share. I clicked on this thing. This little widget here, if you will, allows you to tweak your settings here about sharing. So I don't want them to edit. Other thing here is if I go to anyone, that means anyone who gets this link, no matter whether they're a DMAT instructor, your Uncle Bob, or your gardener's cousin's best friend's lawyer, anybody who gets a hold of this link can look at this file. And if you had the editing click, they could also edit it. All right. So for me, 9 times out of 10, I don't want that. So what you could do is you could just click people in Des Moines Area Community College. Now, I'm unsure about this. I believe that just means anybody within the system, which would be students and faculty. But again, the only way they're going to get in here is if they get their hands on that link. So if that makes you a little wary because you're like, this is something sensitive, or perhaps something you don't want students to have, you could drill down a little further and say specific people. So, for example, I like to share stuff with Dan Petrak a lot, and so start typing Dan's name in, and there we go. Boom, I can now start sharing this with Dan. Maybe I want to send something to my provost. We're working on something, and I want my provost, so there we go, Anthony Postian. So I get my provost in here, and then I could say, hey, check this thing out. And maybe if we're collaborating, and I want Dr. Postian to give some input, then I could click that Allow Editing. And again, we'll talk about that more later. So if I'm sharing something, I tend to do it this way. Choose my specific people and include their names in here. Okay, and then if I apply those settings, I'll go ahead and pester Dan with this. So if I click apply, there it is, and I can even add a message in here. This is just a test for a video, and if I click send, and so now this has been sent to Dan, and so only Dan and myself can view this. And now if I refresh the page, Now, I don't know if you caught that. Before, down here on the test proctoring example, it said only you, and it looked like this. In other words, locked. I'm the only one who can see it. Now it says it's shared. And if you click on the file over here, don't click on the name will open it, but if you click over here, you can see who actually has access. So, and you can also add people. Like, let's say I was trying to share this with some people in the math department, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot. I should share this with Julie. I forgot to put Julie in here. Let's see, it's not showing up here. There she is. And so then I could actually add Julie in here, and then I could click share, and then now I could add Julie in here for access. Let's say, you know, I'm feeling mad. I don't like what Dan's been doing with this. I want to kick him out of the group. I just click there. I can stop sharing with Dan, and now it goes back, and you can see it reverted back to only you. So that's one way to share items. You can actually, without even going into the share button, wow. If I click on the file, I could go over here and then use this as a way to share as well. All right. Some other things, by the way, you can see in terms of this panel over here, this informational, this eye. See how you click the eye and it gives you information. You can also see recent activities, so this will kind of give you a change log as well, where you can see how things have been changed on the file. So that's something kind of nice. All right. Now another way you can share. So get rid of the information file panel there. Another way you can share is you can copy a link. All right, and again, you can copy this link, but before you copy it, make sure your settings are correct. So again, is it only people at DMAC, or is it specific people? Do you want to allow them to edit or not? And again, you got to be very careful with the copy link, because anybody who gets this link, depending on these settings, can start viewing your file or monkeying around with your file. Okay. So it's a little bit different. So this would give you, so now if I change this to all DMAC people, unclick this, apply, it updates it, and so now I can copy that link, and then if, let's say I was in my webmail, let's get in there real quick. Let's see here. There we go. And then I could send this to, you know, whoever. So again, let's say I wanted to send it to somebody who's not in the system. So like I could send it to my Hotmail account. So check this out. Amazing. And then there's this link. Okay. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, one reason you might want to email and do this is if you copy link and email it to somebody as a link, they can view it even if they don't have a OneDrive account. Okay, so I'll say that again real quick. If you use the copy link feature, you can share this with people whether or not they have a OneDrive account. All right? When you share stuff, you pretty much, that's sort of a feature reserved for sharing with only fellow OneDrive account holders. Now, they both actually have a little bit of overlap, but that's kind of the way I think of it. So the share feature works a lot better if you think of it as OneDrive people. I tend to only use this or think of using this if I want to share this with somebody who is not a OneDrive folder. So, for example, IMATIC, Iowa Mathematical Association of Two-Year Colleges. Maybe I'm working on something with fellow members of IMATIC, and I want to send this to somebody over at Iowa Western Community College, and I went, hey, take a look at this, and again, maybe want to make it a working document and allow them to even edit, but they might not have a OneDrive account. So using this link feature would be a nice way to share that, put it in an email, and send that out to them. Okay. You also see within the share, you even have a copy link and Outlook feature as well. So you could click on copy link, which is essentially the same thing as using this button. All right. But I cannot stress enough, the thing you got to be most careful about with sharing is you come in here and definitely make sure you have it set to who you want to share it with and whether they can edit. By the way, you can also do some other settings. You can set things to share, I believe, for only a certain amount of time. So it opens on this day, it closes on this day, things like that. So you can get a lot deeper into that. I'm not going to do that. If you want to do that, check it out. But that is the basics of sharing. And you can share a whole folder, by the way. So if I wanted to share Math 129 folder with the other DMAC Math 129 teachers, I could do that. And in fact, you can see I've actually done that with my Math 110 folder. I have that shared right now with just Dan, working on some other stuff I'm trying to do with this, but eventually I'm going to get this shared with all the DMAC math faculty. So, all right, so that is sharing files.